one of the cool things right now is on GitHub, like when I was becoming a programmer, all of the open source projects I could find were for software developers, basically. And that's largely true. It was software developers making open source projects for software developers. Now software is like such a big part of life. There are open source projects that are just by nonprofits or just groups that don't even have an organization behind them that are trying to do something in the world that's for good. And so one example is Stephen Hawking has that machine that makes him talk. And the way he does it is through his eyes. He looks and he basically types with his eyes. That software is open source. It's on GitHub, but it's open source, and that's the important point. And it's built by Intel, and a lot of people work on it. And the fact that like that sort of software that's actually helping someone, improving their quality of life, especially someone with a disability, and that's open source, and anyone can walk in and contribute to that, like that blows my mind, and that's really amazing. And so for you to want to become a software engineer or a programmer or a developer, yeah, you can go look at my JavaScript to change slides in a presentation. Yeah, you can go look at GitHub's open source for how we route your Git repository to a different server. Or you can go look at the code that Stephen Hawking uses to talk. And I feel like that is the thing that is like so important and not to be overlooked is all the things we're doing around code and better software and computers, it's all to do something. And the somethings that we can do in the world have never been as powerful or as real with software as they are today. And so it's really, really exciting to me to talk to someone who's like, 5 years ago they would say, I want to get started in software, what do I do? And I was like, maybe you do like video games, you can make a mod for Minecraft. And now it's like that's one example. There's another example. There's this big open source project doing health records in Africa because there's obviously no centralized sort of like health system across an entire continent. And so there's open source projects doing things that are essentially social good. And you don't even have to even know what the cause is or have even been to Africa to just go look at the code, learn from it, contribute to it to do something in the world. And then the other side of that is, yes, there are medical nonprofits in Africa trying to do good, but then you can see a bunch of Facebook's code. And so you also have some of the biggest, most profitable companies like Apple that are not private, but that are for-profit organizations that are also releasing open source, like the Swift programming language that now more and more iOS programs are using to run, and that's all open source, all available on the internet. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is like the tools I feel like are more difficult. Maybe I'm a part of that. I don't know. But it's really, there's a lot of stuff you have to do to become a programmer, to write software and to code, but like the incentives and what you can do with it have never been more powerful. So I think it's a really great time to learn.